Greetings, everyone, and welcome to an undeniably great edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party. Monster Party. Monster Party. Monster Party. The happiest place on the internet.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yes.
I am so excited.
Me too. I can't wait for this thing to start. So why don't we start with me?
Yes.
I am Matt Weinhold.
I am SHAWN Sheridan.
I am Larry STROTHE.
And I'm James GONIS.
And for this episode, oh my, not only do we have a returning guest who we love everything he does, but we have, dare I say, a legend.
Yes. First, again, we have two amazing guests. Our first guest has been on our podcast several times, and we're thrilled to have him back. He's an award-winning director, writer, producer, responsible for making such classic documentaries as Men in Suits and the award-winning Lovecraft, Fear of the Unknown. And now he's about to premiere his latest epic documentary, Bob Gurr, Living by Design. Guys, please welcome back to the show, Frank Woodward.
Oh, thanks for having me back, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Welcome. Great
Frank,
to see
we
you.
are so thrilled to have you, but I have to say, we're so excited to have the main topic of our episode with us, too. Our main guest is truly a living legend and well-known to the Disneyland fan base. A car designer by trade, he was one of the original members of the design team that helped to create Disneyland, working directly with Walt Disney. As one of the first Imagineers, our guest designed most of the early ride attractions like Autopia, Submarine Voyage, and the monorail. Now, after a good many years, our guest moved on and created his own design company responsible for Universal's Confrontation and the sinking pirate ship at the Treasure Island Hotel Casino in Las Vegas. He is such a busy guy, currently has his own YouTube show, and is the main subject in Frank Woodward's latest documentary. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have with us tonight the legendary Bob Gurr.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you, Bob.
To Disneyland and beyond.
Yes, Bob Gurr to Disneyland and beyond. Oh, Bob, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Oh, it's easy. I don't have to drive anywhere.
Oh, my gosh. Well, look, first of all, Frank, I'm so thrilled that you spent so much time and energy working with Bob to make this film. Could you tell me first, how did you come about making this?
Well, I mean, it's one of those just happenstance things. One of the fellow producers on the film, Ernie Alonso, he's also Bob's manager, and he was saying, I want to do something about Bob. And we were like, we would like to do it with you. And it just blossomed from there. And we were very fortunate. Bob was very open to us and letting us.
Not at first.
Not at first. No, you were a little. Yes, at first. There was a little bit of a, how should I say, a trial by fire a little bit. Well, because the truth is, Bob, if I'm not speaking out of school, is that a lot of people have interviewed Bob. There are other documentaries about Bob or the making of Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And so here's yet another guy coming by that Bob is just meeting for the first time. And so I met him at his house and with my other producer, Joe Campana. And needless to say, Bob did some good grilling. He's like, how serious are you guys? What are you guys going to be about? What story are you going to tell? And I went off. The good thing was Bob, you gave me a copy of that one book of yours. Because you have multiple books out, and I took it back and I read it over the Christmas holiday, came back to you with an outline and an idea of what we were going to do, and you were kind of like, all right, let's give it a shot. Am I getting that right, Bob?
No, we were at Rudy. Well, I'm always exact. I want to let you know I can remember everything that happened, whether it happened or not. So it doesn't. I had threatened him with make a synopsis, 1 page.
That's true.
All right. I know people can do that. Okay. Promised to do it. We meet in the Rutabaga's restaurant, and I saw the sheet of paper. Okay. I looked at him and I said, "You got 90 seconds." And he briefed it down into words in 90 seconds with the little pitch that got me. So I thought, God, this guy, he's going to work out all right. I can't threaten him with anything. He's got an instant answer. Okay. So anyway, you got to truly know how I threatened him.
He did. He put me through my steps.
In the Disney world, I'm hopelessly overexposed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a flasher, but I'm.
I think you're a pretty flashy guy.
There are stories we didn't tell in the film.
Ooh.
I turned on the TV and I got about every 10th show going by something on a Bob Gurr. I was like, my God, can't I just live in my house? But here we go, yet another video. It's called filming, but you use video, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much now everybody just says filming. I think it makes them feel better for shooting on digital as opposed to actual celluloid.
Right.
But Frank, you guys did some things that with Bob that are kind of different from maybe a typical documentary.
Oh, well, perhaps, and I hope so. Here's the funny thing you guys don't know. Bob has not seen the finished film yet.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
Bob is holding out to the opening night at the premiere that we're having coming up.
Wow. That is
I think you'll be
Bob,
pleased.
you may not know that
Yes.
these guys did see a cut of the documentary.
Yes.
Because we're all
And-
professionals, you know.
Aside from all the nudity, I thought it was fantastic.
Yes.
Well, at least I can either clap or walk out and everybody will see it.
Sure.
Which means there's no pressure on me.
Right.
But Frank, this
I did ask Ernie. I said I want to be 30% back on the orchestra because I like to see a screen, but not if I'm a VIP. I'm sitting in the front row going like that. Oh God, I'm looking at a screen, but I can sit back and kind of enjoy a screen with a little bit of theater around it. So that's
Right. The whole
Right.
experience.
yeah. And I'm in the middle of a row. That way nobody can get me. If I sat on an aisle, somebody's going to get me. So I just sit in the middle. I'm okay.
Right.
Bob, it's interesting though. I understand that people like Frank and people who are just Disneyland fanatics, they know who you are, but there's a lot of people out there who don't. They know Disneyland, but maybe don't know about Bob Gurr. And what I love, Frank, is this film tells this wonderful story of just how Bob started out as a kid and the design school and cars. And it's just, I love how you put this thing together.
Well, thank you. I mean, look, for me, it was a little bit more that I wanted to, and this is something you and I, Bob, talked about a little bit too, I think. There may be people that don't know other aspects of Bob. They may know the Disneyland. They may have seen Imagineering Story or something like that. And
Right.
my goal with the film was to do a film that was about things around Disneyland and things about Bob, the childhood we talked about and the
Right.
inspirations and the things that gives him joy. And but yeah, that was what our goal was. I'm glad you folks saw that. But
It's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I loved about it. You really get, an in-depth look at the man.
well,
And Bob, what's so cool is I guess your parents they had a film camera that they shot footage of you as a little kid.
Yeah, I think right as the Depression got started, my father lost his job and moved in with his mother-in-law, which happened to be my grandmother.
Yeah.
So there was two versions there. He didn't have any money, but somehow I believe in 33, going to 34, I think, he bought a movie camera. And that was a big expense in the early days. I still have it here in my archive room.
Wow.
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 It's a beautiful Keystone wind-up key on it. And yeah, it's got a beautiful lens. It's a really nice old camera.
Oh my gosh. When I was watching the movie, watching that footage, it almost looked like it was fake footage made for like a biopic.
It's a reenactment.
It looks so good though.
Well,
that,
we were lucky because Bob, your nephew, had the cans of film in his possession, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were fortunate. Joe, our other producer, has connections over the UCLA labs, and we were able to get them to transfer the film, and we were very fortunate. It was in great condition.
yeah.
And I'm not sure what the last time you projected it, Bob, before we had our hands on it.
That had to have been, oh man, way back in the, probably around the 1990 or something.
Okay,
Wow.
yeah, so it's been
That
a
looked
spell.
beautiful.
But we were
you
lucky
know-
that it looked so beautiful. We were able to get a good, clean copy of it.
But what I love too is you got a feeling for what kind of person Bob was as a young kid, where he liked to take things apart, figure out how things worked, and which led into your fascination with cars and design.
And that general curious mind, like you said, like wanting to know how everything worked.
And being a bit of a troublemaker.
No, the funny thing, it's hard to explain let's say terminal curiosity, because sometimes people pin me down and say, well, can you give an example of enduring curiosity? And I said, well, okay, if you came over here and walked into my office in the morning, I get up at 5:45, I go on, I get a little bit of breakfast started, come in with the orange juice and have a couple little pills and stuff. And then I start in on the computer and I'm looking, number one, I got 2 emails. I take a look, scan them quick. Which is the important one that needs an answer now? And maybe one, maybe 2. Okay, then I shut that off. Then I go to the Los Angeles Times. Then I scan through the Los Angeles Times. And when I see an article that looks quite interesting, I might learn something. I clip it and save it and put it in my read next folder down here in the corner. I don't usually take time to read a long article. I look at the Times from the standpoint, here's what happened in the last 24 hours, according to the editors down in the Los Angeles Times. Of course, there's writers all over the world that, write for them. So I have a big variety of things I look at. And I might say 4, 5, or 6 stories, which I'll get to it when I can get to it later in the day or tomorrow. I don't treat things as instantaneous news. I have to see it now. Breaking. Oh, I'll break it yourself. I'll get to it when I get to it. Yeah. So I'm not like instantaneous topical. I want to know something more thorough. Okay. Now we get the LA Times done, and now I want to be a broad brush look at everything. So I go to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera, whether you know it or not, they have some thoughtful people, different countries. So I see, well, what are they up to? Okay, we'll take a look at that. And then I go over to the BBC, which is a little more subdued. They have too many radical writers there. And then to kind of back that up a little bit, I go to The Guardian, which is a touch on the liberal side, but they try to be neutral. I try to get more neutral things, but even though they sloped off in one direction or the other. I'm quite aware of Fox. I'm quite aware of MSNBC, CNN, and all that stuff. I would watch CNN with Fareed Zakaria.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's the guy that's the kind of person that I could learn from. I could learn something, and it's not silly stuff, and it's not Fox stuff, and it's not MSNBC stuff. Okay. So now I've got pretty much the news under mine. I see what's going to happen during the day. I'll drop down and look at, of all things, the Daily Mail, British Daily Mail. It's the silliest Inquirer newspaper. It's way over 100 years old. And it's a classical British one, but they have the U.S. version. And the reason I go to Daily Mail, they are instant news, and they have contributors all over the world. So when something big happens, I will read it and see pictures of it and video first on Daily Mail than any other newspaper in the world. But sometimes I'll scan through all the ridiculous stories. They are sort of like a British Fox from the standpoint. See, Murdoch knows how to do this on Fox. To keep,
Oh, yeah.
when you teach your eyeballs, you must keep everybody in a state of terminal outrage.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, someday I'll go to the Daily Mail and just scan through it and look for adjectives. Adjectives and verbs. They will make a mild situation into a terminal chaos with
Right.
adjectives of the English language. And they never tell you what it is. That makes you click to find out, oh, this great tragedy just happened in a state that we haven't mentioned. Well, you're gonna click for 2 or 3 reasons. I never click it. I'm above clicking.
You're above clicking.
No clickbait.
No, you guys still with me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Now I have 5 automotive channels of various kinds. One of them is called the Autopian, which is a guy that writes silly, ridiculous stuff about the absurdity of the automotive world. And it gives me kind of a giggle because some of the stuff is kind of silly in the world, so it's okay. And I look at the other ones, and the key one is Autoline Daily. This is a business for business people around the world. I started when I was 18. I started reading Automotive News, which is the big newspaper of automobiles. I read that newspaper for years. I didn't subscribe. I knew somebody who had it, so I just read it. Autoline Daily is the same sort of thing. So my finger is on the pulse of an auto industry. Okay, then I check some aviation channels that I do. Finally, I can get back to email. I just do this because I do it. In World War II, I was a paper boy for the Hollywood Citizen News. It was an industry in type of newspaper. Of course, one of my customers was Buyworks, so he was one of my clients.
Wow.
And of course, in Studio City, I had 4 paper routes. There was movie stars who lived in Studio City before they got chased away to go to Calabasas. So I had my finger on the movie industry, watching the people and how they do things and talking to them. I have to go once a month and knock on the door and collect 75 cents for the month. And every one of these actors and actresses had the weirdest way of paying a paper boy. Yeah. Lon Chaney Jr. was the worst in the bunch. He was always drunk. And I know that. Yeah, and I noticed he'd part the curtains to see if that was me, and then it'd take him a few seconds to get to the door, and then he says, "Okay, kid, I'll treat you just like the other kid here that had the paper out before you. I'll put my hand in my pocket, whatever I got, you got it. If it's short, to hell with you." Then he slammed the door. He always gave about 50% more than the 75 cents.
Oh,
All right. Okay.
He's an actor. He likes to play with people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Ma Hardy. Remember the Hardy series?
Oh, yes.
Sure, yeah.
Ma Hardy. There's nothing worse than an old actress and they don't call her anymore. And the paper boy knocks, and she knows when I'm coming, and she's got the cookies on a plate. "Oh, Sonny, please come in." And I just couldn't stand to say no, I can't. Another lady was the Josephine Dillon. She was the the teacher for Clark Gable.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's people like that I interfaced with. That was very interesting. So I was always very interesting. So anyway, that is persistent curiosity. And then of course something comes up that I really want to know really something about, and then I dig a little deeper to get the complete answer. Latest one, I'll tell that, and then we're done. Big earthquake in Myanmar. Okay. One of my favorite subjects is tectonic plate theory. I used to run a seismograph for Disney.
Wow.
Earthquakes. I love everything to do with earth science, volcanism. If a volcano or an earthquake goes, I immediately go on the internet and get the latest technical information so I can understand what happened exactly. I'm the guy that when there's an earthquake, I stand still so I can measure the difference between primary and the secondary wave, and everybody else is running. I said, you guys, no. If you understand earthquakes, you can tell the difference between the P wave and the S wave about how far, but you can't tell the direction exactly. It could be that way or that way, but certainly not this way. There's something about it that if you learn about earth science, you have a good time in life, because one of these days your feet are on the floor and it's like, wow, I get to measure this thing for 10 seconds. And,
Well, certainly here in California.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I felt a lot of them, over the years, yeah. But anyway, that's explanation of terminal curiosity. There's no need for it. I do it. 15 minutes of oxygen deprivation, my whole hard drive is dumped. So what good does it do me? Except, starting with that Autopia car, when somebody asks you to do something and you never did it before, always say yes. Then you go home and say, oh my God, what did I just sign up for?
Yeah.
But if you're curious, you know a little bit about it anyway. All you got to do is find out all the things that you don't know that you're going to have to need. That way you can gather stuff, because you're already a famous gatherer of stuff. And you just pack it up here. I got a 7,200 RPM hard drive that's still got open sectors. I can fill them.
I have a question about Autopia, the first round. When you created those cars and the ride, was there always a track, like a little metal track that the car had to follow on? Or initially, did you have full control of the car?
Was it just a road with no track?
I designed the car, not the ride. The
Ah.
ride is civil engineering and pouring concrete. Okay.
I see. But the car design itself, that original design that you did, was so iconic and beautiful. And when I see the current style of Autopia car, they're fine. But to me, it's kind of like, it wasn't broke, so why fix it?
Okay. Autopia's got a weird history. I did a 3-part history of the Autopia when I was attempting to help Ernie with Patreon. And it's hard to do a home movie when you have nobody to help you. But if you ask Ernie, Frank, you should do this. It's too late now. I did a 3-part thing. The Autopia history is so complicated with all these things. You just started to ask a question about it. I'll tell you that's the history of that thing is quite complicated. But go back to the start of it. The art directors are drawing what they think is the freeway of the future. And some publicity guy working with Walt thought the idea, we're going to have cute little cars, and then it's going to be a smooth freeway, and all the kids are going to behave, and they're going to drive around this little freeway. Well, they never checked into anybody ever ran a carnival ride with a bump car. So I kind of believe where they were going to go with it. But in detail was, the minute I got a call to go out there, 20 minutes, they said, come on, Bob, come out and meet Mr. Irvine at the gate, and we'll go look at the little chassis. I saw the chassis, I saw what it needed, and I said, I'll make some sketches and I'll come back on Saturday, which I did 2 different Saturdays. And then Walt finally said, well, you're going to work here. Because I had another temporary job. But Roger Broggie Sr. was the manager of the Walt Disney Production Machine Shop. Walt placed him in charge of every attraction technical equipment. And he was a very understated, soft-spoken guy of minimalist words. But I think the 3rd week I was doing the sketches for the body, phone calls like 6 in the morning. Gurr, yes. Do you draft? Yeah. Get your toes and get over here. Click.
Whoa.
I'm going to be a draftsman in the machine shop. Oh.
Wow.
Irvine and Walt hired me, but Broggie grabbed me.
Interesting.
In office before anybody else did. Okay. We look at the chassis of this car, designed by a guy named Johnny Hartman at a local lawnmower shop, and the guy he fussed around with hot rods and stuff. But it was a little bit beyond him to make a reliable looking car. But Roger Brogy looked at it because he knows everything about everything, and he says the car needs work. Robert, you redesign it.
Oh.
No, I'm an artist. I do the outside shape. The pretty little maroon car, and I do shapes. I don't do chassis. But I had auto shop in high school, so I probably qualify. But he made sure he was going to suggest a bunch of things. You got to fix this, fix that, and he was telling me all about mechanical parts you can buy and build things I never heard of. Anyway, short story, we got the chassis redesigned, so we drove one around the lot about April of 55. That's the one where you see the little movie Roger Brogy Jr. driving the little red car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Michael.
A prototype car that the last 5 hours on the back lot is not a sign of a car that's going to work well. At the end of the first week, out of the 37 ride cars, there was only 2 left.
No. Whoa.
There were no mechanics because so much of the rest of the park was breaking down faster than Autopia.
No.
Wow.
I had this great big yellow 51 Cadillac convertible, and my trunk was always open with my tools in it because when we were building the cars, I had the truck. My Cadillac was a truck. Roger said, down where we're doing stuff, stop by Salisbury and get some clutches. Oh, go over to Gladden and put 10 engines in your trunk. We moved so fast, we didn't involve the shipping department because it took paperwork.
Oh.
Roger to say, here's all the places with the supplier parts. You go get them.
Wow.
You see what we were in for?
Oh, yes.
I'm not a trained engineer, but I like cars. And I'm a quick read. And we managed to get enough cars running that we got through the first week with the 2 cars. And then the thing was, I had to analyze every single failure. It has a why. Why did that fail? And number 2, I have to come up with a fix, either a different part we buy or I have to do some welding or machining.
Right.
And that was a loop that ran all summer. And at the end of summer, we had 37 cars that ran very good every day. So this is the deepest hole I ever found myself in, because Walt assumed if I draw cars, bodies, I draw chassis, and I didn't, but I shut up. All right, I want you to understand this lesson. If you have a mind that works like that, and you're not afraid to say yes at any time on any stuff, every time he hands you another job and another job and another job, you look at it in exactly the same way. It's completely different. You've never done that one either. And pretty soon, by 1958, he wants me to design the world's first monorail, or the Western Hemisphere's first monorail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen a monorail that sat on the beamway. I thought they always hang from something.
Right.
So it's totally new to me. And within maybe one day, at least, Walt gave me enough drawings of what the German train looked like as far as chassis. And then the body was not very good looking. So Walt just looked and he talked to Brogy and I, and he says, Bobby, their train is not very good looking. So I want you to get started on ours right away. And he walked out of the room.
Wait, Walt told you just to start on it and walked out?
Yes, he did that to everybody.
But he didn't give you any things about.
I want you guys to understand the way Walt worked with people. He had a sense of a person what they could do, and they've never done it, and they were appalled when they were asked to do it. Walt asking you is the same as ordering you under penalty of death. You're going to I remember in later years, the last time Roger Brogy Sr. was on video, a few years before he passed away. Very minimal words. And a questioner asked him, well, how did you guys get along? And Bogey looks at the camera and he says, Walt told us we're going to do it, so we did it. If you stop and think why he used those words, an absolute minimalist. He was a man that would not brook the slightest excuse from anybody. What do you mean we can't do it? What do you mean it's going to be like? No, we're going to do it. And that was the attitude. Everybody had that same attitude. Of course, it gradually faded. The more organized any organization gets, you lose that sparky drive of semi-desperation, but somehow you know that it's going to work. It's going to work. And the going to work is more qualified later on. You have enough experience to see everybody else's stuff that doesn't work, and then you want to learn why did their stuff fail. It's like I learned more at the scene of an airplane crash and reading a report of a crash of an airplane. I want to know what are all the little things that went wrong. How many are design? How many are human factors? Because I can pick little things out of that and be a lot smarter. How I'm going to arrange aluminum and steel and machine parts and all that. And it actually let me, I could do big structural stuff, like a big ship, a big ship sinking in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Or the big one, Mark IV monorail in Florida. Those are big.
Yeah.
And literally, I draw with my pencil on layout, my drafting board, no computer. I literally draw 95% of every part and every detail to get it exactly the way I want it to be, that way, strong and as light as you can possibly get it. Because I learned all that by watching what happens to airplanes.
But Bob, you gave that monorail that sleek nose look, right? The German one was like a box, wasn't it?
Yeah, generally, aircraft engineers in Germany were just trying to get anything that could ward off British and American bombers and fighters. They didn't have good plexiglass. They just used glass. And so they had all these panels with all the joints on them. So they just kind of look kind of clumsy looking. This monorail is the same way. Some parts were curved, but it really wasn't. So it was just kind of a slightly shaped loaf of bread sitting on the stick.
Yeah.
So I could see why Walt's comment was that. But stop and think a minute. The picture's right behind me there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That basic idea of what it's going to look like, that came out of my head so fast within about 10 minutes at my house one morning. And I drew it as fast as I could draw it. And when I got into the office, I made that drawing. This cross. That was done that quick.
Wow.
Yeah, and they tell you why people, notice it and say, well, that was pretty good after, 50 years or whatever. If you have anybody that likes what they do and they're pretty good at it and got a little bit of experience, and you turn them loose but leave them alone, they're going to gravitate to something that works pretty good because it'll be a single person statement. The more you have somebody else assisting you or somebody monitoring you, or God forbid, budget people, it's going to get muddier and slower. And pretty soon some of the other assistant designers are going to go right past the purity idea and they start putting decorations on things.
Oh,
Several designers, all they thought was decorating surfaces. And it's like, oh my God, can't you guys think pure for once?
It's true. It's kind of like the idea that projects where everything is done by committee, where it's like talk about doing it instead of just doing it, where you have a single vision, let that person just do it,
And it looks muddy.
Well, I watched how a lot of other people worked. A lot of people were polite enough to endure people that were assigned to your job, but they were getting in the way.
Right.
The problem is if somebody put a bunch of people on a job, 3 or 4 people, every single person feels they must speak up and doodle something in order to prove they're contributing,
Right.
and they're not very good at it.
Yep.
I would say, with Brogy's help, Brogy was very good to keep people out of that machine shop. I didn't realize at the time how he was protecting his people, but we kept everybody away, and I got very good at chasing off anybody who was going to help me. It's kind of hard to do because you might chase off a pretty good guy, you know.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, the moment you let one in, they're going to sign two more, and that's fatal. And I got away with that the whole time. And I'll say, to close that important thing, by the time I got to the last big job, was the sinking ship in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, we basically had worked out the design with Steve Wynn, you know, how it would work, and then when we got into a company that was going to bid on doing the design, the actual design and production, forget the guy's name, but there was a meeting, maybe 20 people in this room. I fly up to Las Vegas, and the head guy of the whole project, he suddenly makes a snappy announcement to these vendors, vendor designers, and he says, "Okay, Gurr's here. We're going to start, so pay attention to him." And he left the room. And I thought, whoa, I couldn't have paid the guy to do that. He understood high-speed Las Vegas designing. Everything runs at high speed in Las Vegas.
Really?
Quite risky, but I always loved working in Las Vegas because these were dead serious fast movers,
Right?
And there were not excuse makers, and that was a $13 million job, and the whole shape of the front of the hotel and the pit in the ground and all that stuff came off my little dinky Macintosh on this very table.
Wow.
I fly up every 2 weeks. And I look at the size of the hole in the ground that they were digging through this hard caliche soil, and I thought, boy, I hope my dimensions are right. This is a big machine and a big swimming pool hole. But the son of a gun, you chug along detail by detail every day, optimizing all the details 4 or 5 times an hour. You're looking, do it this way or do I do it that way? Okay, which is better? Okay, we'll do it this way. But you have to have an idea in your mind on those jobs. In the first few hours or first day or two, can you see all the way to opening day? What are logical paths you probably could sit there and explain to somebody something hadn't started, and explain every path of everything that's going to go to that opening day with some kind of certitude that there is a path that's got several little branches on it. But I tell you, in recent years, even the Disney company did stuff where they have this thing called blue sky. You've heard that phrase, you know. We have to do ever better and ever more, you know, everything.
Bigger, better.
Yeah, but the problem is, if the project starts moving and not everybody understood it correctly, the momentum will take off, and then you only got 80% of your path to the opening day.
Yeah.
That's, if you really want to know what happened to rocket rods, it got started in that way where, oh, this looks so good. Oh, it's great. We always do. We're Disney. We can't possibly miss. Hubris.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And I could tell. I was down there working for the park at the time, and I watched the look on the electronic guys as they came out with their briefcases, the long faces they had. And test and adjust, I got my answer. I said, this thing will die.
You know, what's funny about that rocket rods is as we were going through Bob's archives, there are 2 photos of you, Bob, at the unveiling of rocket rods, and you're there, you have your hard hat on with somebody else, and the look of like contentment that, I'm glad this is not mine.
No, Frank so rocket rods, they replaced the people mover, right?
Yes.
I like the people mover. What was the point?
Stop thinking a minute. There's 2 decisions. A first decision that said, in analyzing, that the people mover really is no longer popular. This is something that developed within operations people. Okay, and that launched an idea that, say, we could put something that's kinetic and really fast. But these are wordsmiths. They talk in words.
Right.
Anybody there who has to talk carefully to the gods of gravity and corroded metal.
Right. Right.
I'm the guy that when people finish talking and everything, and we're going to cut metal, we're going to get really serious here. I do not want to be in a spot where I can't see that there's a logical ways. I don't know them all as I start, but there's ways that it can get there.
Right.
By the time we get to, I always call it opening night when traction open, we're not going to have too much pain. And the other part of that is when you launch a job and you don't have it figured out adequately enough in the blue sky stage, and then you hire a lot of people in the shops and fabricators, you know what you just did? You put them on a doomed project, and after a while they notice it's not going to work, and they keep their mouth shut.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We had one job in our shop in Maple, I forget exactly what, 1 year, but we had a British guy there who was always very cheery. And the design didn't work well, and they needed a lot of revisions. That means you cut up a bunch of stuff and do it over. And I felt so bad seeing what was happening to this job. And I talked to him, and I says, "Oh, this has got to really hurt. Got to do stuff over. We're losing time, and the people are losing the money here." And the guy says, "It's all right, Robert. It all pays the same." I just thought, well, okay.
So Dick Van Dyke, he said that?
They were very happy to work on a Doom job. I just never
Frank,
wanted to get in that. Yeah.
Frank, the track is still there, right?
Well, the track for
Stop and think about. I'm in part of the monster group, and I walk to Disneyland, and I walk around. I see a 27-year-old artifact. It's got cracks. It's got rust. Oh, it's got leaves in the top. Oh, they're letting the trees grow over it so you won't see it. Oh, that's the ivy on the architect. I got it. 27 years. There's no brilliant mind in that entire company has been ever to come up with an idea. What do we do now?
Wow.
Serious. That's the most serious thing. Not, everybody's so used to seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the world's largest concrete sunshade, of course.
Yes, that is true.
But it's the hubris of large organizations. I don't necessarily need to pick on Disney, but they're attributes that large companies, organizations over time find themselves in. And
Right.
I hope smart people come along and help people figure out, whoa, how did you guys do that? Well, listen, we better do some better thinking here before we do anything next. But they went ahead with the Luigi's tires.
Luigi's tires.
Yeah, Luigi's tires. If you guys
Oh, that
remember
was-
an attraction called Flying Saucers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wait, that was when the park opened, right? That wasn't
The flying saucer ride.
Yeah, okay.
what happened with that.
Years before, they were working on it, and they said, "Bob, would you like to climb up this vertical ladder and go up to the top of the building where we're testing it so nobody can see it?" And I said, "Sure, I'll climb up there." I took one look at it, and I said, "Oh my God, what are you guys doing?" And they said, "Management told us we could double the capacity if we put 2 people in it." And I said, just a minute. I want to ask you, when they told you to do that, did you consider that when you expand something, it goes up the triple of the weight, the volume of the weight goes up? No, we didn't. We were told to make it hold 2 people. And I says, did you consider the people that are going to drive in it? We're still going to have the little kids, the 45-pounders,
Sure.
22 inch
Right.
height. And the old original flying saucer was the ratio of the weight of the vehicle and the 45-pound little kid was such that they had enough body mass that they could tip it and actually get it to move.
Huh.
It says this vehicle already tripled the weight based upon just putting 2 people in it. The ratio of this little kid with a vehicle, what's your chance that it's going to tip and make enough that you can get the air to go out the other side? Well, we didn't think of that. And then I said, okay, we're going to put 2 people. Have you noticed in the demographics of humans that visit Disneyland? They walk in and they got churros, they got electric carts, they're too heavy to.
Right.
Yes, there's some large people. Yes,
I've
sure.
met some lovely friends, lovely fans. They're 300 pounds apiece, a husband and wife. They're happy, they eat all the time, and they have a great time. They love everything. What is the chance of them with their ratio? Which is,
Yeah, no.
Well, okay. Bob, you want to write it? Sure, turn it on. I'll write it. And I knew how to make it work. And boy, I spent about 15 minutes smashing it into the curbs on top of this rooftop thing. I was having a blast with it. They said, God, how did you make it do that? Well, I just know this stuff.
Yeah.
And then they opened the attraction, and it became a problematic immediate. If you were to go to the queue line, it had the cutest little illustrations in that long enclosed queue line, Italian-esque kind of a thing, to explain how it works by the time you get up to where the gate opens and you go sit in the vehicle.
Right.
Every person I saw was doing this as they walked through the explanation.
They're doing the
On their
phone.
phones. Yeah.
Yeah. No, no one
No
cared.
consideration given to how you're going to educate the people on a vehicle. It needs the education if you want to make it work.
Yep.
So then the people that didn't pay any attention, the gate opens and it's like they run to the first vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be there and understand from the little cartoons how it works and spot a car way out in an open area and run like hell, beat all the other people to get to it. Now, when I would do that, I did this maybe 6 times there. God, I could get going so fast and smash other people so bad. Other cars that never moved once. Though the guests would complain, I can't make it work.
Mm.
And it was powered by air?
Yes. Okay. All right. You asked the fatal question. If you go back to the E-Ticket magazine that the Jackson Brothers did, there's a section about the flying saucer ride. There's a little valve. There's a little round thing about that big, a whole bunch of them. And it's got a little bracket with a little silicone pod in it and a spring. If you visualize a hubcap going over a hockey table, that entraps the air. And that valve is imbalanced just enough that when the flying saucer goes over a valve, it will drop because the air pressure differential allowed it to drop, and that lets the air come out of the port, now open under each saucer. And as the saucer goes by, it closes after it left. They didn't want to do that because they didn't own the patent.
Oh.
And then somebody said, well, we'll just turn on and let waste air go up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we saved the money on the valve.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever notice the big buildings behind it? There was, I think, 4 buildings with the biggest electric motors with fans I have ever seen. And the problem is when you build a big machine like that and you pay for the hookup of the electricity, it's called the KVA that you've got to commit to. You pay a fortune of the size of the hookup to the power company. And then you use the electricity.
Mm-hmm.
I swear, I can hardly stop laughing when I look at large companies get themselves in a pickle as they mature. They forgot who they were, why they were.
Mm-hmm.
Really hard to maintain that and do it. But I had a couple of clients that they were really good. They never lost sight of who they were and why you got to stay tiny. It was Steve Wynn was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bad boy. He diddled girls like he's not supposed to, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He was a cool guy. He would personally talk to every worker. He wouldn't go through anybody.
Mm.
Walt walked around that lot and never went through anybody. He walked around to see what with his own eyes what's going on.
Really?
And the other guy was Steven Spielberg. I worked with him for about 5 months on Jurassic Park.
Nice.
Yeah.
And there was a guy there that he always looked like a ragamuffin the way he dressed, and shoelaces on the floor and whatever hat he was wearing. But I could sit at a drafting table with him when we're going over ideas. And what do you think of this? And you always have to, guy like that, you have to, if the idea sucks, you can tell them right now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever be a yes man because they'll catch you. All right.
All right.
And the minute you say, oh, well, Stephen, this is not going to quite work. And then he'd say, well, okay, how about this? And he'd draw another thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy that never took no for you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it in a very pleasant manner.
Right.
But I also witnessed people like Michael Eisner would order and the order failed, and then there'd be a conversation. You ever do something dumb like that again, you'll never work in this town.
Really?
Wow. Never chop people for asking them to do something if you're a dumb idea. Walt never did that. The big thing about Walt was we spend the money and we spend the time and it doesn't work. It's going to happen before we open, of course. And if he come to something came to a halt, and then he'd look at it with everybody else, and then his manner always was, well, we sure found out why this is not going to work. So why don't we just get going? Let's see if we can figure out how to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the person who had the idea in the room felt bad, but now they resume breathing because they're not going to get fired. Everybody else then sees the problem. Now they're willing to help. They know what it meant to fail, but they know what it meant to have your leaders say, well, okay, we know why it doesn't work, so let's make it work, get to work. That's their attitude, and you stop think about that. If you chop somebody who's a creator that you've hired, they won't give you much in the future.
Sure.
Right.
They don't want to get that blunt ever again. But if you don't chop them, and then they'll be the first to say, oh, we just found out why it doesn't work. I got some ideas. Maybe I can get that thing to work. This is what you want in creative people. I didn't mean to have a monster lecture here tonight.
No. This is great. Bob, this is great. Matt.
Yeah, because you guys said we're just going to talk.
Well, that's exactly.
Of course. Yeah.
And if I may, you guys, Matt, Larry, you were asking me how I got to the heart of certain things. I didn't really get the heart of anything. I just spent time with Bob and sat and listened and learned.
These stories are so fantastic. And it's like getting an inside view of the nuts and bolts of getting these things to work. And when it comes to Walt, one thing you could say for him, it seems like he had a very good eye for talent in the fact that he would ask you to do something and trusted the fact that you could get it done.
Right.
Everybody recognized that in him. Yes. It was a very special place.
I can understand too that, Walt is the head of the company. There's a lot of pressure. He's got this amusement park. He's got a studio. Was there any time when he got mad at you and said, why the hell did you do this? Or was he
only once?
Only
Only once.
really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're going to ask that.
Well,
okay. You remember the Starjet machine that was on the top of the Wedway thing?
Love that thing.
Yeah. Okay. That started life over in Tomorrowland on the north side with the old Rotojet.
Mm-hmm. Remember
the Rotojet came in 56.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We bought that from a German company because it was a affordable new attraction. It wasn't anything Walt wanted to invent. He said, "What's available? Let's just buy one of them, stick it." And it came from a German company. The reason for them getting into the amusement ride business, their machine had a big turntable, big a bearing on it. And they had all these bearings left over because in World War II, they built anti-aircraft guns to kill B-17s.
Oh my gosh.
So we bought the thing and put it in there, and it was like, that's a Nazi roller bearing. Don't say anything.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, Long Beach bought one of them too. And,
Okay.
and it killed a lady. It
Oh.
Oh no.
flipped her right out of the car.
Ah.
So Admiral Fowler in those days, are you familiar with Admiral Fowler? Your Admiral.
Is he the guy who ran the park?
Oh, you better do some research, right?
Yep.
What do you know about the Admiral? That's a story in itself. He's a retired admiral who, in World War II, he was in charge of Mayor Island Naval Yard repairing ships that got shot up by the Japanese. Okay.
Mhm.
And Walt knew about him, and he says, Joe, why don't you come on down? We're going to build an amusement park. I think you'd like to be in charge of it. Well, yes, Walt, I'll come down. I like that. I like that kind of. Well, I'm from Tennessee. Yes. Admiral. Oh, my God. Anyway, the Admiral sees what happened in Long Beach and immediately sent an order up to me. And he says, he was always funny. He says, my boy, I want you to put a safety cage on there and engineer it really quick. But he didn't go through Walt. He didn't go through Roger Broggie. So I drew it. I only took about 2 days to draw it up, and then we built it in the shop. But yeah, it functions. It's ugly as hell, but it works. It does what Joe said. And then I'm down in the park about a day later. I'm down in the parking lot, and Walt was coming at me in high speed with a look in his face. And that finger went out. He did this to people. What's this little solar plexus? Is that what it's called? This little stuff thing?
Yeah.
And if you bend that, you ever had that happen to you?
No.
Oh, man. It takes your breath away and you can't breathe for a little bit.
Oh,
And
okay.
you are in such pain. Walt rammed that finger into that part right there. He got my attention. And he said, I saw that. It's you hit it under the staircase under Broggie's office. And then I saw it in this, oh God, Joe went straight to me and he never went to Roger, and Walt did not know it.
Oh.
Oh God. And it was a short 30 seconds, but it was really short. And he was looking, he kept doing this. He says, this is my goddamn park, and there's nothing going to my goddamn park except what I want. Don't ever forget it.
Wow.
And 10 minutes later, we're over in the meeting. He's just as sweet to me as anything. Yeah.
Got it out.
Did you take the cages off that thing then?
I don't even. It was such a trauma. I don't even.
Blacked it out.
We never saw it again.
Okay.
But you got to remember, Walt hired an admiral.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. Navy will take charge of anything in their territory,
Right.
and you better back off. They're like that. Joe was sweet. He was very funny, but he got things done. You know, his window's up on Main Street as you walk up Main Street on the right side.
Yeah.
And it says "can do." Remember those words up there?
Mm-hmm.
Every time he was in a meeting with us, particularly down in Florida, he always had a smile. He had a straw hat. No, he didn't look dangerous. And pipe. And he'd say, all right, my boys, we got this covered. You'll have that all done tomorrow when I come back here. Can do, can do. And he walked out. And go, oh, God. Oh, no, we're never going to get it done. but he had a way. If he said can do and waved his hat and went out, you are going to do that.
Right.
And that meant everybody was very good at getting stuff done quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've had this amazing career at Disney, but then did you decide to leave on your own?
They fired me.
They fired you.
I thought you guys knew that.
Well, maybe some of us do, but our listeners don't. So.
Oh, no. I accidentally insulted the chief engineer of White Enterprises.
Oh,
Accidentally.
It's a kind of long story, but I accidentally, I hurt his feelings. I could see that. It was a very wild-eyed, swearing Polish guy, too. Yeah, so he's a very angry guy all the time.
Yeah.
But essentially a good guy. And 2 weeks later, after the event that happened, on the day 14, I was able to turn in my resignation papers. But
Yeah.
every executive I had to take them to, they'd all played hooky on Friday. Nobody.
No.
But Disney always did it. They told you in no uncertain terms, you're leaving, but we're not firing you.
Ah,
It was the Disney method.
a
Interesting.
little bit of Godfather in there, you know.
Yeah.
No, Walt did this. That's the way he did it. If somebody was dropping the ball, he'd simply tell the mail room, with brown envelopes and kids going bicycles delivering mail,
Mhm.
leave an order in the traffic office. He says, no deliveries to that room.
Mm.
Wow.
That meant,
Ouch.
yeah.
But but you're a designer, and you get out at Disney, and you just say, "Hey, I'm a designer. I can do stuff on my
No,
own."
just a minute. On day 13,
Mm-hmm.
or the day before the 14th, with my resignation, I was the president of Gurr Design Incorporated, and I had hired myself.
Nice.
The words that John put to me on the paper, pink paper, by the way, he said, we request that you seek a career in another company. On my way home that night, I bought a book, How to Incorporate Myself.
Wow.
Wow.
See, an adverse thing is a hell of a good invitation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
True. For opportunity.
That's
Yeah.
all I thought was, oh, John, okay, I got you. I understand. I hurt your feelings. Go incorporate myself. And in the 13 days, I was a California 1244 stock corporate, real company.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have a wall in case I kill somebody with one of my designs, see.
Yes. Yes. Very important.
True.
Just saying, yeah. But that shocked the company because there was no word that I was going to go.
Right.
John never said a word, and all of a sudden, the following Monday, I'm gone, just like that. But
Wow.
I had clients already.
Did you?
Never missed a beat.
Wow.
That's great.
Good, yeah.
After spending all that time at Disney and then having to leave your job quite abruptly, was there ever a point where you thought back and went, boy, during my time at Disney, I would have loved to have done this dream project? Did you have anything like that you didn't necessarily realize during your time there?
I will quote Harry Truman to a news people.
Mm-hmm.
Fellas, you know that I never answer hypothetical questions.
Wise man.
All right.
But Bob, one of the things that you worked on, which just blew me away, and I was so excited to see, and that was after Disney, was the confrontation at Universal Studios.
So amazing.
I was a kid,
Yeah.
all of us,
Oh,
huge King Kong fans.
yes.
And I always wanted to see a giant King Kong thing, and here it was. And it was like the greatest thing as a kid when I saw that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Honestly, maybe I think one of the greatest rides ever made. Like,
Yeah.
when I saw that for the first time and experienced Kong coming at the tram and the tram falling into the ground and all of that, it was so visceral and immediate and exciting and scary all at the same time. And I thought, wow, I never even thought something like this could happen.
Yeah.
And yet here it is happening right in front of me. And when that ride went away, it was such a sad day.
Well,
yes.
it didn't just go away. It burned to the ground.
Yeah.
That's right. But also, I want to say too, Bob, that, later, of course, they made a brand new King Kong attraction that,
Yeah.
was kind of based off Peter Jackson's Kong. And yes, it
The
was.
smile on his face.
It had this, this 360 thing to take the tram through, and it looked amazing, but nothing beats seeing an actual giant bust of this with actual hair on it. You can feel the
fire.
The new version doesn't hold a candle to that. It never will. It's everything
It's a movie,
that makes,
right?
Yeah,
It's
it's
3D,
but it's like handcrafted thing there. That's actually there. That you experience. It's amazing.
Well, that was a super favorite job because number one, that's 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few years before, if you remember the little Conan show up on the top of the hill,
Yes,
Right, with the
yeah.
snake.
had a 24-foot fire-breathing dragon. You remember
Mhm.
that dragon? Oh man, that was a fast, quick, and so super simple. That was the easiest animation I ever worked on. It was a big snake. I mean, it just body was doing all kinds of stuff, and that big mouth and the head doing stuff. If you actually saw it, it was a telephone pole with a gimbal joint on the bottom and two cylinders, one for right, left, and forward and aft. Okay, the skin is real heavy. I mean, that's big, wrinkly stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to figure out how to support the skin, but like every 3 feet, you put a hula hoop in it. You know, so it's getting bigger, bigger, bigger.
Right.
You make this hula hoop and bond it onto the skin, and then you put 3 straps, nylon straps, and you put them to a little collector clip on the telephone pole. And you do that about every 3 feet, because if you try to hold it from the top, it'll pull itself apart. So in other words, now we got the skin hanging. The slightest movement of those two cylinders, the fore bend and side bend, and you do it just right, a little bit like that with the head going, that snake body was going like mad, and there's no animation in it whatsoever.
Wow.
I had this big plastic sock, and all you got to all you got to do is wiggle it.
Right.
Yeah, no, that was a super simple, and that got Universal's attention.
Uh-huh.
That was a Gary Goddard design show.
Yeah.
They wanted this dragon. I couldn't wait to start on that one, because I found out the guy was going to do the gas jet out from the throat, and normally make a fire so it's nice and blue. This guy made a valve so it's really terrible. The worst combustion you can get, which is like a fire. And when I would open the mouth, I had these 2 big fangs that would unfold like a real snake.
Mm-hmm.
The end of the 2 fangs was a pair of commercial Auburn spark plugs. So the mouth opens and the gas flow comes out of the back of that throat, and then it blows past the fangs. People don't see the fangs come up like that. The fangs come up that, I got to put the spark plugs in this column of gas, and it lights it every time.
Wow. So that's like simple, but so Kong was much more complex.
That's a whole nother deal.
And
okay, well, Frank knows I've got the scale model of an animated King Kong in my
Yes, he does.
no,
You guys see that in the documentary?
Oh,
beginning?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right. Yeah.
Also, if you will ask Ernie and Frank, ask him, I made a movie on how King Kong works.
Yes, he did.
wow.
Nice.
See, the bigger something gets, the more relative space there is inside it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
as you change scale of something, you do not scale something literally. It's constantly changing because of that the volume, the volumetric mass that goes up with a dimension change. So when I started sketching it, I could see, well, the bigger it gets, the easier it's going to get. Because relative mass of something locally with skin or shoulders or face or something is relatively light relative to the major structure that's going to hold the thing up. It weighed about 13,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The fur weighed 660 pounds of fur. You stop and think a minute. Okay, well, I don't have to build the whole body. The arms are going to hang from the shoulders down to an elbow joint, and then they're going to be bolted to the bridge. The gag of the show. Remember the bridge is King Kong shaking.
Right.
Yes.
No, the bridge
yes.
is shaking King Kong.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so my body ended at the shoulder joint. There's nothing to do after that.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
If you see that model that Bob has in his house, you can see how that is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, now let's say if you make a body shell of the upper shoulders, but not the belly, not connected to the belly skin.
Right.
When you lay that 660 pounds of fur, the girls had to develop a lot of techniques to how you support heavy fabric. You got to support it every little ways. And then because it's going to move on itself, it's like you put a dress on a lady, but you put the slip over her skin so the dress will move. The same technique. All you want to do is anchor that skin so it's hanging on the shoulders.
Right.
And it can slither all at once, all the way down, down below the hip side, the hip of the animal.
See, I was fooled. I thought it was a full King Kong.
And then
I couldn't,
the belly is a great big monstrous thing. And I figured out if you have a length of a rod, 4 rods that hold the belly ring, there's a certain distance that'll have the natural frequency of something that size. When you got a big animal, you don't want it moving like that. You want it to go, whoa.
Lumbering.
Yeah.
And that was just hanging there. There was no actuator to it.
Wow.
Again, 4 bend, side bend, a little bit of wiggle here and there. And the fur was in motion constantly, and the belly ring was in motion.
Yeah.
And there's nothing driving it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Frank, I meant to ask you, because I thought the reason why King Kong was removed was it's a mechanical thing that maybe needed to be tuned up every once in a while. By getting rid of it and putting in the film.
Yep.
Go back to June 2008. New York Street burned.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kong with it.
And King Kong burned up in a fire in New York that wiped out that whole New York Street.
Yes, but you build another one. You build another big King Kong. Maybe like full size.
No.
Made of asbestos.
No.
Stop and think about this. The worst thing that can happen to a designer is have his lifetime is over, and it's going to go to the low bidder. The junk guy is going to come in, cut it up, and take it down. That will break your heart.
Yeah.
Let's stop and think. At age 22, the same age as James Dean when he went away, why King Kong went out in a blaze of glory.
That's true. It's the kind of legendary now.
Although I'm sad that I missed the opportunity to maybe later, like we're closing down the ride. Maybe we want to sell some of this stuff off. I'll take it. I'll put it in my garage.
I would have loved to have bought some fur or something,
No, I've got some of the fur in the bag here.
Okay, we'll come over and check it out.
Okay, all right.
So, Bob, I know you've done so much stuff, and you are so lively, and you're always doing stuff. What's new to me is this: you have a TV show on YouTube.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that? I mean, do they just go to YouTube, put in Bob Gurr Show?
Go to YouTube and type in the Bob Gurr Show, and you'll see it right there.
You're a great talk show host as well. I watched the episode with you and Charles Phoenix, and it was great.
Yeah, that was quite a test. Here's the funny thing. Ernie's always trying to see new ideas to, exploit things and, make some money for him and make some money for me too. And the main thing, have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So he started building that theater, and he had it done before he even told me he was doing it. So I go down there one night and say, Ernie, what have you done? Why, we have a theater here now. We do. What is it? It's the Bob Gurr show. Ernie, you never asked me. All of a sudden. Okay.
And that set's great too.
Yeah, well, so it's a done deal. But
people can join through a Patreon too, right?
Yeah.
And
but he does put some of the interviews. He does put them on the internet. I think some of them run full length. I think, yeah. Well, anyway, the minute I said, "What are you going to do with the show?" And he said, "Well, you're going to be the show." What am I going to do? And then I thought, I've done all these panels for the Disney company and other people. We sit behind a table, and it's very formal and the same dumb questions from all the hosts over and over and over. And I said, Ernie, I learned so much from Charlie Rose. Larry King to some extent. And I admired Larry King. He had no set. Never go back and look at him.
Yeah.
And he focused only on the person he's talking to.
Right.
No lateral chatter like contemporary blogs. Oh, brag about who you just met and who you know and what you know that no more than what somebody else has know. A bunch of lateral chit chat signifying absolutely nothing. That's what blogs.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me it's the Monsters Show, not a blog. See, so I can talk. Okay. I said, I'm going to interview people.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about them. And he said, okay. And it took a couple of shots to find out what furniture works, what other furniture didn't. And I finally told him, I says, I watched some Johnny Carson shows and I'm finding out about how you're supposed to do a show. Oh, couldn't find the right furniture. So my nephew made the table for me. I drew it up and he made it. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. To the audience looking at a show, the host is on the right, slightly higher eye line, eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
People, when they look at something, they automatically perceive the right side has more power. And I don't know why, but it's a reality. The fact that you have a guest and your eye level is down just 3-4 inches, that's all it takes, sets the stage for who's the power and who's the guest. All right, I figured that much out. The other thing is, I wouldn't tell people the nature of what we're going to go do. At the last second, I just got to give them a hint.
Really?
Yes. And,
Wow.
And it worked extremely. Ernie didn't like it. He said, no, that's not polite. You can't do that. Well, I'm going to find out. Because Charlie Rose did this. And it extracted information out of a guest. So sure enough, if you ever look at those, Phoenix was easy because all I had to do was ask one question along that line. I just shut up and he would.
Yeah.
No,
But
I would look at people. Now the first one was Bridget Marquardt, who used to live.
Oh,
yeah, we had her on our
we've
show.
had her on the show.
Sure. Yep.
God, what a sweet little gal. She, was 49, good looking, and beautiful hair and everything, and just as charming and polite as little Christian girl type of person.
Yeah.
So that was going to be my first serious one.
Mm-hmm.
So I just start in and I look and I say, say, I find out about people that are very successful. They have a career path that actually got started quite early. And it usually starts from something that you've had a couple of thoughts or little memories in your mind and you can't quite connect them. And it might have been terrifying or it might have been so interesting you want to go back and you can't get back. Whether it was a dream or something. And it always happens around 3 years old to 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And their first answer will be, oh, no, I can't remember anything like that. And within seconds, they'll go, oh, that reminds me. And every single person has done just that. And as soon as they got one, they get two, and then pretty soon they got 5 of these little, I call them snippets, little snippets. And then they begin to catch on why I'm asking. I don't ask them how famous they are and who are all the famous people they work with and all that stuff, all the gushing stuff. I tell them, I want to know about you. And if I do it like that, most people, there's some of them, they're hard to shut up after a while. No, because I think what happens, it's dawning on them as we chat along that they don't usually have that kind of a host. Because contemporaneously, in the theme park business particularly, it's all lateral blog of fluff. That's all it is.
Yes.
Blog of fluff.
Yeah, but I wanted to make sure if somebody's going to look at that show, and I've got somebody on there. Some of them have been terribly important, and other people are just like regular friends and stuff.
Sure.
Phoenix, I've known Phoenix forever. I've been on his show, so I'm kind of forewarned what I'm getting into. Well, the poor guy was 8 years old, and his father was a used car dealer. So this little kid knew all the American cars of the 50s, and he still
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are kindred spirits.
Yeah, really.
And he's a barrel of enthusiasm, and he travels all the time, and he's got the guts to charge a real high price for his shows.
Mhm.
It's quite very smart, yeah. But other people, it was interesting to watch. They would tell you more about themselves than I normally would tell somebody.
Yeah.
And we all learn stuff. Yeah.
Well, you're a fascinating person as a host, and I think it's just so cool that you have this show that people can check out.
I think we've done 17 of them, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, real quick, I know, Bob, that there's kind of a legendary story of when you kidnapped the Vice President of the United States in the monorail.
Oh my God.
Maybe share that with us.
Yeah, this is share number 748, I think. It's just one of those things you can't get rid of it because it's an intriguing thought to some people. The Vice President of the United States got kidnapped. Okay, all right. In developing the monorail, there was quite a rush job from the time that Walt said, Bobby, get started. 8.5 months later was the day I'm going to give he and Walt a ride on it. That's a pretty short time to get that done.
Yeah, really.
The train was on the beam for 2 weeks. It broke down every day, and the night before was the first day. It ran around one lap by itself and never broke. Okay, so I parked it where we're going to cut the ribbon. I was afraid to take it out in the back where we park it. Left it there, and I thought, all we got to do is get through this long 90-minute black and white television show live all across America with all the and the monorail is sitting there like when I shut it off, it ran. And I don't have to run it again until late in the afternoon. When Walt cuts the ribbon, we get in it and we drive off. If I drive it out of the shot on TV and it conks out, we're done. We got the show.
Right.
That's all I
Right.
You got the shot. Yeah.
we got the shot. Okay. Oh, about 11 o'clock in the morning. It's hotter than hell. I see an entourage coming, and oh my God, it's Walt. Oh, Jesus, that damn Republican guy and his wife and the two little bratty girls. Okay.
Richard Nixon.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Nixon. Well, he was a very good friend of Walt. Walt called him Dick. You know?
Oh,
You never called him your honor or anything like that.
right.
So we come up and chat a little bit, and then Walt says, "Well, let's get inside it." I said, "Well, just a minute. It's really hot. We got to get the air conditioner turned on. I got to call somebody and get the power 600-volt power up and let it run for a few minutes." Cool the cab, otherwise we can't get in there. So there's about 10 minutes of wasted time. We open the door and sit down inside, and Walt starts talking. He's got the old eyebrow goes up. He's really excited. He's got something nobody's got,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's showing his buddy Dick. He invited him to. He says, "Well, why don't you come on out here? We got some rooms for you. If you need more, call me, and I'll get more room for your Secret Service. You bring them along, They're very informal." So anyway, Walt says, "Well, Dick, I'm the steam guy, and I drive the steam trains here once in a while. But this is the modern transportation of the future, and it's electric, so I always let Bobby drive it.
Oh.
Give him a ride, Bobby." I drove off. I didn't say a word to anybody on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Never give it a thought until the train went out. We made to the right. Then you come back and make a left turn and come over the waterfall. As soon as you come out of the pine trees and you look at the waterfall, you could see who's on the platform. And there was like 4 or 5 Secret Service guys. And Nixon let out some of the worst 4-letter words in joy in front of his little girls. And I suddenly saw the situation. Presidents and vice presidents work like the hell for like centuries to dump the Secret Service. It's their family. And he did it.
Wow.
Oh. And then my next thought was, oh my God, it's going to catch on fire over the subway. No, seriously. We hadn't figured out the safety ladders, how to get out of
Oh, no.
Wow.
Yeah, had the train burned up or something like that, that whole Watergate thing, he would never have to experience.
But fortunately, nothing happened.
Yeah, anyway, I continued to drive. We come back. Oh, I'm so glad to get back in the train and start running. I'm going to stop it here. And then the girls wanted to go again. And then Walt looks at me and he says, give him another ride. I don't even remember the second lap. It was like, oh God, oh. Not at all what I wanted to see. But it came around, and then it dawned on me as we went through the station, the Secret Service guys were running, trying to get in the train, accelerating through the station.
Wow.
I guess Nixon got a hoot out of that one, but I missed that.
Wow.
Wow. And you were not, there wasn't any kind of like special hearing that you were brought to?
I mean, I'm like, yeah, this whole thing's got a live show coming. Anyway, I parked the train and we all get out. We walk down to the platform and down at the end. And Nixon turns around and looks, and the Secret Service guys are all sitting in the train. They never followed Dick down the walkway.
Wow.
And there was a German engineer that would come over occasionally to help me, a guy by the name of Conrad Deller. He helped me with all the stress analysis and steel structures, stuff like that. And at test period, he and I would work on the train and fix up something and it'd run until it broke. And then we'd go back to the hotel, Disneyland Hotel, which by that time was a little like concrete block hotel, and buy a bottle of Christian Brothers White and talk about things and sketch stuff and then figure out what we're going to draw. And then the Disneyland truck would pick up the drawings at midnight, take them up to the studio, bring them back 10 in the morning. We put them on the train and try it out again. It was a rhythm. Okay.
Wow.
This guy was funny, but he was kind of a serious guy. Conrad Deller. He's he was probably, I guess, early 30s, something like that, and I'm sort of like late 20s.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was watching this thing silently, and everybody's gone. And I walked back up there, and the guy was shaking in rage. And he said something like, Mr. Bob, in Germany, we spend 7 million marks in 7 years, and we do not let our people on it, and you make it run one night and you put your vice president on it. I am still laughing. That guy could not understand the Disney way of America. He never let me alone on that one.
Well, Bob, you've
Anyway, that's 750 shows.
Thank you for sharing it once again. Appreciate that.
Bob, you've had one amazing career and it's still going. And Frank, how much footage did you have?
Well, there's a lot more footage that's in the film. The film is only an hour and 46 minutes. And by the way, before we run out of time, I guess I should mention that we're having the big premiere at the Alex Theater in Glendale on April 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are on sale now.
Right.
Nice.
Go to thealex.com. You can get tickets and join us for the big premiere. But yes, it's a feature-length documentary, an hour and 46 minutes, but I probably have at least another 3 hours of footage we could not put in.
Wow.
And there wasn't anything, there was no fat cut off. They're great stories. They're great aspects to Bob.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you could put in one film.
But
So that's
Frank,
where the DVD will come out.
Yes, because so that's the big thing. Because I know there's some listeners that we have listeners all over the place. If they aren't able to see the premiere, is there some place where they're going to be able to see this or
streaming?
Yeah,
or
is there?
There's no streaming in place yet.
Frank and Ernie would probably know.
Yeah, exactly. Where this is the first of our public screenings. There will be other public screenings here in California. We're looking to do some in Florida, and we are looking at streaming platforms for later in the year.
So, Frank, if someone wanted to check it out, can they? Is there a website or your?
Not at the moment, but they can follow Fandom Productions. Mm-hmm. Fandom Productions is Ernie's company, and it will announce future screenings. Obviously, they can follow me or follow Bob on Instagram. Both of us have accounts on Instagram, and new screenings when they're announced will definitely be on both of our feeds. But for right now, the big night is April 26th, and
I think I'm getting the picture. I'm not in the movie business, but I think I'm going to be involved in movie marketing this year.
Movie marketing is going to be
yeah.
it's
New
all
adventure
part-
to add.
It's all part of the parcel, my friend.
Oh, my
The,
God.
Hey,
the film,
I'm-
the cameras may stop rolling, but the production keeps going.
I've got some ideas for some promotion here. I think it
Well,
would be great.
send them our way.
No. What if you got the monorail and then you got the Nixon from the Hall of Presidents and you put him in the monorail and you drive that monorail around
Wow.
at
A recreation.
anniversary or something.
Right.
And you see, I have a tattoo.
Oh no, you can't. Yeah, Bob
Whoa.
Bob wears.
Oh,
You
I
have a
gotta-
tattoo.
Yeah,
Just
step out
a
of my
minute
friend.
here.
Listeners,
I have a monorail tattoo.
That's awesome.
Bob has pulled down his shirt.
That's
We can
awesome.
see
Yeah.
his
That's
tattoo.
badass.
Hey, and by the way, speaking of the presidents, we didn't really even talk about great moments with Mr. Lincoln because
Right.
Oh, yes.
the
So
first
much.
time I ever went to Disneyland, I think I was 4 years old. It was like 1968, and Disneyland. You would think a kid would really latch on to all the Disney characters and everything else, but the thing that I remembered clear as day in my mind after I left the park was that ride, were that attraction.
Mr. Lincoln.
Mr. Lincoln. And I remember
Great moments.
sitting there and you see that animatronic President Lincoln and it's moving and it was the most amazing, mind-boggling thing because it was so realistic. And there was a part of me that's like, wow, I guess we now live in the age of robots. We
Yeah.
make real robots and here we are now in a time where they are making robots, and I feel like you're kind of part of that progression.
Legacy.
Did you want your own Mr. Lincoln to like come to your house and like clean your dishes and stuff like that? Or
Well, I have a drawing on my hall by the front door of the full-size drawing of the mechanical part of Lincoln. If you're
Wow. Nice.
Frank's seen it, yeah.
I've seen it. A lot of these things we're talking about, actually, including Bob's tattoo, are in the documentary.
Oh,
That's right.
the tattoo. You didn't
Oh,
tell-
yeah, I don't know if you remember. We had you do a little. We had to have you bring in an
Oh,
intimacy
okay. I
coordinator
guess I
for that shot, Bob.
Like a Superman moment. Where
A little bit of a Superman moment, yes.
well, for listeners, if you can't see this premiere, please pay attention to Frank's Instagram and his
Okay.
Facebook thing, and he'll give information. You'll be able to see it in other parts of the country, and eventually
There will be other screenings
Yeah.
for sure, where they're all in the works. And also be sure to follow Bob on Instagram as well. There'll be announcements there as they become available, and also just announcements like where Bob is another episode of his show. I mean, there's a lot of things to follow, so please do.
great.
and we will.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Frank, you
Yes.
two, again, a
Oh, thank you.
fantastic documentary.
I appreciate
you
that.
are
Absolutely.
truly amazing. Great work. And Bob, just watching all this stuff and your amazing career, I can't wait to see the director's cut if there's one.
Yes, yeah.
Well, see, if Bob is still sitting at the end of the movie, then we'll talk about doing an extended cut.
Yeah.
At the theater, I'm going to be out of business.
Yeah, I want the 5-hour Lord of the Rings version.
Right.
If Frank finds some excuse to say, "Oh, we have a sequel of the inside of that story."
Yeah.
Right.
I want you to do another film about, because towards the end of the movie you're talking a little bit about your life philosophy, and I found
Yeah.
that inspiring. I was intrigued by your interest in Buddhism, and a lot of that stuff I relate to from an aspect of like stoicism, where you take on reality for what it is. You don't have these expectations that somehow life is going to change itself for you. And I think that's such a very important lesson.
Yeah, you're completely right. Number one, I'm not religious. I've never been religious because I can remember my grandmother sent me to the Methodist Church in Hollywood, the big one there on Franklin and Highland. And those little stories, Bible stories, they were so technically incorrect.
No kidding.
I think my curiosity at that time says, no, none of this can be. It's cute, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's
I
one
can
thing.
imagine what an Imagineer would do with the Noah's Ark story.
Oh boy.
Right.
Well,
it turned out over a period of time, as I travel around the world, I've been to 56 countries several times, and I love to go by cruise ship. I always walked through religious places. I've been to St. Paul's in Rome several times. And I have kind of mixed emotions. There's the beauty and the marble and the work and everything. And then I thought, these people were forced to donate.
It's true.
The mixed bag, yeah.
well, hopefully you didn't feel forced to donate your time with us tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
hey,
has been an
nice
absolute
one,
joy.
Larry.
This has been an absolute joy and
Well,
such an honor.
Yes.
The end result was the Buddhist places were always the ones that didn't have somebody threatening you and telling you something from some big pulpit or something, or a bunch of voodoos and bells and incenses and all this kind of stuff. But
Sure.
I could see the Buddha. He was a real guy. His father was, like the semi-king of a territory. And the kid did not get along with his father from the standpoint. He thought, that's too much gold. That's too much. The guy went for a walk, supposedly came back, and damn near starved himself trying to figure out the essence of life. And he came back with the simplest doggone thing. Real simple. You don't have to be a Buddhist or anything. Simple thought. The assumption is humans should have happy lives. And we all know you're not going to get it. Many times a day, you're not going to get it. All right? You have only two things you can do in that situation. You can react. Oh my God, woe is me. Or you can respond. Ooh, I do not like this situation. Let me see if I can figure my way out. Think of those two. You have only so much energy that you're going to be able to use in a day. Do you want to spend it on a blind alley of anger and disappointment? Or do you want to spend it on a practical plan you might be able to do something with? All right. I'll mention another part of that, which people don't like it when I say it. Hope and wish are the two worst words in language. If you say hope, oh, I hope what you just announced to everyone around you, I am not going to do anything about my situation. I'm going to leave it up to some icons, some other place.
Yep.
And if you say, I wish, you just told them you are clinging. You never want to cling to things that are reality and you can't have it. So I have to warn people, that's the way my mind works, is don't ever wish and don't ever hope. Do something.
A lesson that is so relevant to this day and
Yes.
age.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once you do it, you get into an automatic rhythm. And I'll tell you why. Everybody gets stressed, and part of it is because of the anger. Once you damp that anger down, guess what? We're mammals. We're going to fight or flee. Lions and tigers and bears. We fight and flee with nasty managers today, several times a day in some company. Your endorphins kick up and down. All the chemistry gets wound up 10, 15 minutes at a time. Every time this threat comes. If you damp that out, through this, if you understand reality, response, reaction, your body will gradually not chemically react so much. And then guess what? The body now has enough energy in its immune system. The immune system can stay up in top condition and actually do something that you need done.
Right.
It's so simple. Nobody will think of that.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just
All right.
thinking.
Well, that's my preaching for the moment. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Fantastic.
we really
Fantastic. I
appreciate
love
it.
it.
No,
Yeah,
having you on.
I have one of these sitting on my
Nice.
Ah,
Buddha. Guys, what do you say we raise our glasses and give a toast to Frank Woodward and to Bob Gurr and Living by Design? Yeah.
There we go.
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out. Hey, everybody. Let's have a shout out.
This goes out to our good friend Gary Norris, who is one of our very first guests on our werewolf episode.
Yes.
And Gary is a Disneyland file. And I say not just Disney file, but Disneyland file, because Gary grew up near the park and he spent a great deal of his childhood near the park. So I know that, and he visited very, very often, and he visits every chance that he gets. So I know he's listening. And not only do I want to shout out to Gary, and by the way, Gary is also a Patreon member. We appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
But to all of our listeners who are also Disney files, and to those who visit the parks and Disneyland in particular, where every time I visit, I mean, all the parks are great, but that park has a special charm because it has so much cultural history.
Yes.
And, the changes, the evolution of it, and so much of it that is just like it was in the 50s and early 60s. And it is magical in its own way for that reason. So I know many of our listeners probably love that park and all the Disney parks, but appreciate that part of the history too. And assuming that they're listening, I want to give a special shout out to all of you.
Well, and James, right now, you are in Japan. Now, where exactly are you right at this moment? And this is right at this moment of the time of this recording.
Yes, I am in Akihabara, Tokyo.
There you are. Do you have any plans to go to any of the Japanese Disney parks while you're there?
Yeah, absolutely. I plan to go to Disney Sea. We have the Star Wars celebration is happening for the first time in Japan coming up in a couple of weeks. And Josh Gilliland, friend of the show, will be coming to Japan for that. And I mean, it's we were all fortunate to be able to come here 10 years ago and celebrated my 50th. We got to celebrate Sean's.
That's right.
And now that I'm about to be 60, well, this was my happy place. And in a perfect world, we all could have come, but that wasn't really possible this time around. But this was where I wanted to be right now. And yes, Disney Sea and maybe even Disneyland if I can swing it.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's great.
Cool.
Well, speaking of which, I would like to add to the shout outs, if you guys don't mind. And it is a Bob Gurr Disneyland related shout out, because I have a special love for Disneyland cars, ride vehicles, and Bob Gurr, of course, invented, created, designed so many of the iconic ones. He did the Matterhorn bobsleds, he did the submarine voyage submarines, but he did one in particular that really gets me in my sweet spot, and that is the Haunted Mansion Doom Buggy. I mean, first of all, the fact that it's called a Doom Buggy
Genius
is just, I mean, the answer was always right in front of you, but it took him to put it together. And the Doom Buggy is so great. I don't know. Do you guys know, was that the first ride car to ever have speakers in it? You know?
Maybe.
Wow. Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. But I love the Haunted Mansion, love the Doom Buggy, and I also love, you see, the Doom Buggy, that ride car design came from an earlier ride, which was the Atommobile from Adventures Through Inner Space.
I love that.
I love that.
We all loved it, right?
I love that ride.
Yeah. And my feeling, I'm pretty sure you guys will agree, if I could pick one extinct Disneyland ride to come back, it would be that one.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
In a heartbeat.
Because there are so many things about it, because this was a ride where they made it seem like they were shrinking you down and they were injecting you into the atom of a snowflake. And it was so trippy and so weird. And at one point, there's an eye from a microscope.
That was my favorite part.
The best part. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God. And as a kid, again, I was like, wow, this is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And what is even going on? Like, I think I think it was also when I was 4 years old is when I first wrote on that. And I don't think I fully understood it, but who cares, right?
I thought I shrunk.
Yes, right. Because they have at one
you
point.
Saw
There's
little people. You saw
that's
little
right.
People,
Fantastic Voyage.
And I told my older brother, I said, I'm gonna wave at you from that thing up there, just so to prove that I'm what an idiot. I mean, I was fooled, man.
Hey, Larry, don't you wish you had one of those little toy cars from the ride? Who owns that?
I know.
Somebody does.
I know they've come up at auctions.
Really?
I would love one of those. That would be amazing.
Yeah, but I love that car, and I would like to maybe take, because they did put out these little die-cast versions and various other versions of the Doom Buggy. Yeah, and I would love to take one and maybe do a custom and make it into the Automobile. Wouldn't that be cool?
No.
Sure.
And maybe display it in like a little hypodermic needle. That'd be cool.
I thought you said like a microscope, like you'd have like an eye. Look, I don't know.
No, you can put like little LED lights in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that is a good idea, Larry. I think I would want to incorporate the eye somehow. Like you have to have that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's amazing.
Well, there you go.
And just one more shout out, folks. This may be your last opportunity to vote for us for those Rondo Awards.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So look, we're one of many podcasts that have been nominated. We would love it if you could go to the rondo.com website and vote for us for best podcast. And also you can write in for best commentary for Right Hand of the Devil.
And The Devil's Partner.
Oh, gosh, that's right.
Both by Filmmasters.
Yeah. 2 Blu-ray selections that'll bring more joy than watching Bob Gurr laugh at a broken down rocket rod.
Well, guys, I've been visiting the Disney parks as often as I can in recent years. And one thing that I've noticed is that the experience has also been a veritable fashion show of all the guests wearing different Disney t-shirts and Disney merch. Like never before. Like when I was younger, I never remember that being such a thing. Like now, not only they're wearing the ears, but they're wearing all these shirts, these different like, wow, okay, now if I don't wear a Disney shirt, I feel out of place.
Yeah.
And speaking of merch,
smooth, James.
It's like seamless.
God damn, you are a pro.
I know our guests are wondering, well, how can I get Monster Party merch? Well, I'm about to tell you. You can find our t-shirts, our Monster Party cap, the Monster Party shot glass, the Monster Party PPE mask on our eBay store, which is, yes, you guessed it, Monster Party store on eBay. And if you buy our merch and also happen to be a Patreon member, we will throw in free surprise goodies from our favorite Mouseketeers, Jason Lindsay at Biff House Studios, and foam fabber extraordinaire Ted Haynes.
Oh, those Mouseketeers, they're awesome.
Oh, yeah. 2 men who were so special they had to be Imagineered.
No, this Patreon thing. Guys, we just had on Bob Gurr as a force of nature.
Yes, I remember.
He's a force of nature. Yes. And an extraordinary history, 93 years old, guys. How on earth, in preparing for this episode, do you expect me to remember what this Patreon stuff is all about? Can you please refresh my memory?
I don't expect you to remember because it's become a tradition. Yes. So yes, I will explain.
I don't want to like shock you guys.
You know what? I'm fine. I'm all right. I'm working it out. Okay. You know how Disneyland is considered the happiest place on earth?
Yeah.
Patreon has to be the happiest platform on earth because it allows people to enter a magical theme park of Monster Party bonus content, minus the lines and screaming toddlers. Yes.
Well, what kind of content would that be, Matt?
Well, okay. You can experience content like our special audio episodes, our shows like Monster Party Masterpieces, Monster Party on the Road, and our popular Toy Time series. We also have our legendary Japan trip that we were talking about. Yeah, we have a video diary of that experience, which is almost like being there. Yes, we have behind the scenes convention footage. And we also have vintage sci-fi and horror fiction edited by our resident Lie-Scarian, John Bordeaux. And more.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, that sounds like a great big e-ticket to me. But I gotta say,
hey, bring it back the e-ticket. Nice.
I gotta say, as much as I love the parks, visiting them ain't cheap these days, and
it ain't cheap either.
Ain't cheap either. No, and I am saving my pennies, so I don't know if I can afford this plethora of goodness. How much does it cost?
Okay, well, for the price you would pay to tip a stripping Abe Lincoln that you would hire for President's Day, you could become a Monster Party patron, and that price is just $5. $5 a month.
Wow. I mean, you can't get an auctioned off piece of a broken flying saucer ride for that price.
That's for sure. Well, okay, I'm sold. How do I join?
Well, all you got to do is you go to patreon.com, you go to Monster Party, you click join, you follow the instructions, and next thing you know, you'll be as happy as a hitchhiking ghost who managed to make it to Knott's Berry Farm.
Well, speaking of hitchhiking ghosts, we are on social media. We are on Facebook at Monster Party TV, YouTube, also Monster Party TV, Twitter, now X at Monster Party HQ, and Instagram, also Monster Party HQ. And hey, wherever you're listening to us, we would love it if you would let us know your thoughts, write us a review. It would be beautiful to get an iTunes review. We haven't had one of those for a while. We will, not only will we enjoy reading it, but we will enjoy reading it on the air.
Yes. And we won't just read your review. We'll do it in our best Paul Frees voice, which is basically James Mason. On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Strothe.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
And visit every attraction designed by Bob Gurr.
And if you happen to visit Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, don't forget to yell, "Duck!"
How many people you got here?
The party. It's a monster party, Bob.
It's a monster
I'm
party.
gonna hang up the phone here.
Well, I look really ratty. I just died. Oh my God!
This is from the grave.
Wow, you're gonna have to get on a doom buggy then.
Let me. There's too much light here.
No,
Hang
Bob.
on for just a second. I have the sun shining right in my eye. I'll be right back.
All right.
That would annoy me.
No worries.
For a bit.
Yeah.
We should remind him too that it's not, we're not doing audio or video
I was
of this too.
about to do that.
I think it's more for his own comfort.
I think so as well.
I don't like the sun shining in my eyes either.
I know. That's why
I can
you do
tell
it
by
from
your
a
video.
Yeah, that's why you do the show from a bunker 3,000 miles below the Earth's surface.
Yes. You know
Otherwise,
me so
you turn
well.
into the hideous
As I
sun
get
demon.
closer and closer. I got to get a piece of cardboard and shove it in my window.
He's a designer.
Only so fast there.
No worries.
If only you could have designed the sun.
The window.
For listeners, Bob Gurr, a designer, is taking a piece of cardboard and using it to block out the sun like any great designer would.
And that piece of cardboard will be on eBay later on this afternoon.
That's right.
There's a great background there. There's a monorail painting.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. And when in the documentary, when I saw the King Kong thing, I almost
Okay, let me
lost
see if
consciousness.
That helps a little bit. Oh my gosh. Woo. Oh, hang on, I got to adjust it again here.
Ah,
He is a perfectionist.
perfectionist, of course.
Indeed, yeah. How can you do the things he did without having that?
That's right.
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
He needs to block out this sun.
Yes.
Okay.
That's looking good.
Now I can see what's going on here. Okay.
Fantastic.
Well, let me get my volume up.
Sure.
You have to have volume. Okay.
Volume's always good.
All right. Okay. I'll set the phone aside. I was doing a Zoom with the War on Cars in New York the other day, and twice the Zoom dropped out and shut my computer down twice.
No.
Nice.
Yeah. I've never seen that.
Well, it's the Chinese.
Well, no, no, New York is too far away. I think that's the problem.
Well, just to let you know, too, if anything goes wrong here, this is not
okay.
live, and we edit this. So,
well, okay. Yeah. Well, before I join a bunch of unknowns, I need to go around the window here. Matthew Weinhold.
That's me.
Are you?
How do you do?
Are you holding wine right now?
I am. Yes, right in my gullet.
Oh, okay, you got it. Okay, I'm in the top middle. I know who I am. Let me see. Shawn Sheridan.
That's me. Hello.
Okay, yeah, you look quite rational. Okay, you're fully equipped.
Oh, yeah. You are so wrong.
Looks are deceiving.
And then we've got James Nobody.
Yep, that's absolutely right.
And James, you're out of the country right now, aren't you?
And
I am. Yes.
You are James Larry, and you are Larry James. Okay, I got it.
I am just Larry.
Okay.
And in honor of you, I am drinking from my King Kong mug from Universal Studios.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
And down here, Frank. Oh,
yeah. Hi.
Did you know he directed a movie that I'm going to be in? Yeah, I've never seen it. Yeah,
that's
very
what
excited.
I hear.
Very excited.
Just playing around, you see.
Yeah, so
Bob, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Yes.
What we'd love to do is we're going to go and talk about your career and stuff, for anywhere between 70 minutes or so. We want to talk about this film, but we want to go through your career. The way we start out, just to let you know, Matt is going to introduce the show. We're going to introduce ourselves, the four of us, and then we're going to say what the topic is. And then we're going to introduce the two guests. I'm going to introduce Frank first, and then I'm going to introduce you second, and that's when we're going to go to town, okay?
Yes. And just to warn you, I do the opening of the show in a creepy sort of horror movie host voice. So don't I just didn't want you to think I was having an episode or something.
I have a camera that it dangles like a dead spider coming out of
Very spooky. Very spooky.
I gotta get on camera.
That's wonderful. And just to let you know, because I think Matt mentioned this, we're not live. So as we're going along, if you say something that you realize, I shouldn't have said that, like John Landis is a jerk or something. I should. That's okay. We stop. We'll do it again. And then you could go, John Landis was great. So I'm just saying.
Whatever. Yes. Right.
Whatever you
And this is just audio too.
I don't quite get it. You just said you're not live. How come you all talking?
It's a monster show. They're the undead.
Yeah, we're all
that's right.
Yes. And
we're all
Bob,
grinning ghosts.
Yeah. I got more wine than you got.
This is gonna be a good show.
Yeah,
I can tell already.
Okay.
But Bob, just to let you know, as we'll go through the career, and then we'll get to the film. We'll talk a bit about the film, and then we'll talk a bit about your TV show that you have on YouTube, just to kind of give it a full circle. Okay, and Fantasia is one of my favorites.
He's hiding behind the mouse, is what he is.
There's a lot of people, and I don't know any of them, and you don't know him either.
No, he doesn't know us.
He just shook his head. Okay.
You know what? I go to Disneyland and Mickey pretends like I don't even exist. It's amazing.
He runs away from you.
He does. Yes. And Snow White, forget it. I'm not allowed in the park.
I love Snow White. I love Snow White. Anytime I see Snow White.
What is the purpose of this?
I'm sorry.
We've been asking ourselves that for many years.
So Bob, before we start, sometimes we do a little banter, and then Matt will put it at the end of the show. Sometimes I hope that's okay. But if you're ready, we can go ahead and start.
We'll go right into it. Let's get right into it.
And Matt, does Bob sound okay audio wise?
I think Bob sounds great.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Sound check is good. All right, okay.
Sound check is
I gotta do something with my camera. Okay, that'll work a little bit.
Yeah,
Do you think, Matt, the closer he gets to it, the better it is?
The closer you get is better, but also we have
the
ways of cleaning up the sound, so it's
look, if I get too close, these
oh yeah. All right, I'm right behind you.
Hey man, we're all there.
Oh my God!
At some point,
oh my God! Let me put it this way, Bob. You're
Imagineer this. Come on.
You're a room full of kindly wise crackers, is what you are. So
that's right.
I can't wait. This is going to be awesome.
We're in a room full of wise crackers, is what we are.
Yes.
I don't know whether to turn my hearing aids up or down now.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Once the show starts, you'll know what to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. This is this is a group that would be easy to talk to. You're not like a bunch of blog hosts.
Oh, good.
Oh, thank you so much.
Cool.
And Bob, by the way, if you ever want to come back on, we'd love to have you. You are a delight.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not too often. I'd say twice a year.
All right. That's about my ratio.
That works.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Remember, it's only got 6.5 years. I can be 100, so we got time for a lot of stories.
Wow.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
Great. Let's do it.